Hi, I'm Cheryl Duffy, divorce coach, family dispute resolution practitioner, and parenting coordinator. And I'm from the Divorce Centre. And today I'm having an interview with Tamir Berkman, who is the divorce cowboy, and he's a divorce coach for men. So it's really good to see you today, Tamir. Welcome to the interview.
Thank you, Cheryl. Pleasure to be here.
So I'd like to talk to you today about three things really about what the challenges are that men have that you find, how you think what support that they need, and why they may be hesitant to reach out for support. So if we start off with the first one then, what do you find are the major challenges that you come across when dealing with male clients?
Yeah, so I think the main challenge is the fact that separation is an emotional challenge.
Absolutely.
And particularly as men, we don't have the tools to deal with an emotional challenge. We have other tools, they're amazing, they're not going to work
Yeah.
during an emotional challenge. So business tools, other tools won't work here. It's not to blame men, but it's just the way that we were brought up means that it's very hard for us and we never learned how to deal with an emotional challenge. That's the biggest thing that men needs to get over.
Right. Yeah, I find that the men that come to the divorce centre, they're very much feeling quite powerless, and I'm sure you feel the same as well. The men that come to you, in the current climate where there's the separation, I feel that there's a lot of men feeling they don't have equity in the decision making, in having the living arrangements where pre-separation they were very hands-on dads, and yet post-separation there could be major challenges with gaining that access to having their children. Are you finding the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a sense of um, powerlessness. It's a sense of being lost. It's
Yeah.
a sense of being unclear. And that's because the first thing that men will usually come across is that emotional roller coaster, right?
Mm.
So I'm hearing a lot, it's like an emotional roller coaster. Of course it is. It's one of the first times that we actually feel stuff, but we don't necessarily know how to deal with that, with these emotions. So we don't know how to identify emotions, how to work with emotions, things like that. That's some of the things that I'm going through within the program. The other thing is that because of, we know the stats, so 70% or more of separations are initiated by women. And that means that a lot of the times it's very easy for a man, very easy for me as well, to blame and to step into victim mode. That's the other main challenge. The second trap of separation for men is that it's so easy to go to blame. It's so easy to go to victim. So easy to deflect and not take responsibility for my own life.
Yeah.
And that means that I'm not empowered. I'm not empowered to change my life. I'm not empowered to make a change or take responsibility. And I'm not being responsible for my life.
Yeah. And the problem with that also is when we're feeling that shock and that rejection, we can then be easily triggered and buy into drama and buy into the chaos and the toxicity of that relationship breakup. And it can get men into a lot of trouble because they can be seen that, oh, you're raising your voice at me, so you're emotionally abusing me. So it can really escalate very, very quickly. So that's where I find it's good to be able to help them understand what their hot buttons are. So understanding those warning signs, those physical warning signs that you do get, when your stomach's in a knot, or your jaw can be clenching, or you can start to shake with rage, and you just think, you've got to recognize those signs to be able to then put the strategies in place to not enable that to escalate further into conflict, because a lot of times it can end up in an AVO or a DVO, whichever state you're in. So it's really important to minimize that conflict and try to, I say to guys, it's like walking alongside a tiger. So you don't want to be prodding the tiger so that, you end up getting your eyes scratched out. You want to be able to walk alongside the tiger and stroke it and sort of, okay, we've got to get through this together. We've got to get through the forest together without, being ripped to shreds. So it's about making sure that those emotions are kept in check, particularly when you're dealing with your co-parent, only from the point of view because it could have devastating consequences if those emotions are left to run high.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I work a lot with a drama triangle that men have some sort of a tool to decipher arguments. Hey, what was happening there? Oh, I was the victim, then I went into the perpetrator, then I went into the rescuer. So kind of like understanding what roles we play in an argument. And then it's easy to go, oh, okay, if I was that, what can I do to actually avoid that? Actually avoid stepping into the victim next time and
Yeah.
put other habits in place that are more serving to them.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all about trying to keep that level of conflict down because when the emotions are really high and the conflict is high, there's no negotiations that can occur because both parties are very irrational, they're full of conflict, so therefore they're battling it out for a winner and a loser. So what you want to try to do is make sure that you try to stay as calm as possible so that you can negotiate with each other to be able
Mm.
to put across what your needs are, what the children's needs are as well. And it's got to be child focused because it's really important to recognize the relationships that were there before separation. So the role of the fathers changed significantly over the years. So they're more hands-on. So parents, I find, are more interchangeable now. So, as women went into careers, men have been, stepping into those shoes of, bathing the kids, feeding the kids, getting them ready for school. There's this interchangeable role that's happening that we need to recognize, I feel, because you can't expect that once um, the fathers are playing that role, trusted to do that role pre-separation, but all of a sudden, post-separation, oh no, the children have to be with me, the mother, because I can look after them better. When the father has been playing that role as well as the mother pre-separation. So I find that's really important for co-parents to understand.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it really comes down to awareness, I think. Awareness to emotions, awareness to thoughts, awareness to where I'm at, what role I play in an argument. That sort of awareness actually gives me the base to start working with, to start
Yeah,
changing the behavior, to start working with what I have from the other person.
yeah. And it's about really understanding about, you know, conversely, if you were a dad that was, a guy that worked till 8 p.m. at night, and by the time he got home, the kids were already in bed, um, bathed and fed and what have you, and you weren't much of a hands-on dad, that it's really needing to understand, well, yes, of course, there's going to be that transition where, you know, the care for that you're going to have post separation is going to be a gradual increase over time as those, that environment is sort of set up for you to care for them. Because there's no point in having the kids in after school care or someone else looking after them when they could be with either biological parent. So it's really important to be able to share the load, but also reflect on what those roles were beforehand and the
Yeah,
benefit.
absolutely. And that's what kids need, right? Kids
Yeah,
need both parents
absolutely.
to to actually demonstrate healthy adult behavior
Yes. Yeah.
to reduce this trauma. So when two people can actually come to an understanding
Mm.
and have that great co-parenting relationship, their kids benefit from that. That's the main benefit for the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because you're the most important people in the kids' lives, let's face it. So, it creates such tension and stress and anxiety for the kids if they see their parents forever fighting. And let's face it, those fights, what are they generally over? The kids. So the kids feel, oh no, mom and dad are fighting over me again, it's my fault. So it's really about making sure the kids feel safe and secure in that relationship with the parents so that they can spend time with both parents and not feel guilty, that they're leaving one and going to the other. So it's really important to make sure that, the kids feel comfortable in being able to have time with both parents and enjoy that time and not feel guilty about it.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so it's really, really important to help kids continue to have those meaningful relationships with the dads, because I just see sometimes that the fathers are not given sort of the choice or the part of the decision making, as I mentioned before, and being able to work out how it's going to work going forward. And I feel it needs both parents to be part of that decision making so that they can set up two loving homes for the kids so they can come and go between those two homes and feel safe and secure. So, so do you want to tell me
Yeah,
a bit about your program that you do?
absolutely. So, I have a 7-week program for men to, first of all, gain awareness of their emotions, their thoughts, their actions. Why are they doing what they're doing, and what's the outcome out of it? Now, if the outcome is not serving
Mm.
for them, then how can they change their habits? How can they change what they do to actually get a better serving outcome? And that's what we're going through the 7 weeks. So it's got full tools and techniques to help the man actually start using tools and techniques to gain these habits, to change their behavior, and to get a more serving outcome out of it. I'm like a fitness coach for emotional fitness in this case.
So the more they practice those techniques, it's like a muscle, isn't it? So like going to the gym, you're practicing lifting those weights and you get stronger and stronger. So,
Absolutely. It's like an emotional gym. So my role is to teach them the exercise and then spot them while they're
yeah,
getting these reps
yeah,
and building that emotional muscle, building these new habits.
definitely.
Um, Another part of my work is work with what I called horsepower sessions. So that's coaching with horses, and that's in out in nature, in the paddock with the horses. Sometimes a cabin and a fire pit there as well that we go to, and that allows men to have that environment they need to actually open up, to actually do this work. Because there's a lot of doing. So it's not just, hey, we're sitting somewhere and we're talking about things. There's a lot of doing with the horse, there's a lot of leading, there's a lot of learning from what's happening. So it's actually learning by doing. And
Yeah,
because we're doing things all the time, it's easier to actually go deeper and open up a little bit more.
yeah. No, that sounds wonderful. Having that retreat where you can talk about your problems and have like-minded people who are also there um, in that group session who are, feeling relaxed and comfortable, being able to open up and not feel judged. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah,
So
that's right. That's
yes,
the three things that men need to do this work to grow is to one, have a safe space, two, know the tools and techniques, and third, have a safe person or persons to do it with.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it sounds wonderful. Yeah, so with the clients, the male clients that I get, I mainly do divorce coaching as well. But also I have the anger management course that really helps them be able to avoid, getting those AVOs by once again teaching them, um, learning those warning signs and teaching them what their hot buttons are and what the techniques are to manage those conflict scenarios. So we go through a lot of those conflicts that they're currently enduring to find an alternative path to get a better outcome. So it's about, having those techniques, as you say, to help them through the challenges that are ahead and minimize that conflict. So they'll have like 4 weeks of anger diary. And it's not just the co-parenting challenges they have, it's to do with work challenges, home, other family members, all different challenges they've had during the week. And they're keeping a diary of the emotions felt, actions taken, and then the techniques they're applying to help them have a better outcome. And, a lot of the times it's about understanding what's in your control as opposed to reacting to things that are not in your control, which wastes a lot of your energy and emotion that you're going to need for other issues and challenges. So, working with the men to be able to help them, even through the divorce coaching, on how to sort of work through those different challenges that they're having and look at what they can be expecting going through separation, and with the co-parenting attributes of what to look for when in helping the children adjust and work with their co-parent in more of a child-focused, future-focused mindset. So that's what I work with the men, and also with the women, and also with couples as well. So it's depending on the level of conflict, whether you do the individual sessions or whether you're doing the joint sessions. So, and then it can be a combination of both once you've done the individual.
Yeah,
So
and it's very challenging, right? It's very challenging to
yeah,
step into that future mindset when you're actually in fight or flight mode during
absolutely,
separation.
yeah, definitely. So it's about stopping that, looking to the past. They did this, they did that. It's about, okay, we can't change what's happened, what they've done. Let's look at what you're going to do about the future and set up a life that's going to be, going to help you be able to maintain that relationship with your children, be able for you to rebuild your life. Because obviously, separation impacts not just your relationships, but also your work productivity, financial stability. You've got to move home. So there's so much change that's happening that there's a lot of priorities that need to be set, whereas it can be very, very overwhelming. And you're just thinking, oh my gosh, there's just so much that needs to be done. So it's about helping them, set those priorities and get those actions in place so that they feel empowered, that they're moving forward. Now, do
Yeah.
you find that some men struggle to reach out for help?
Yeah, I think that most men don't ask for help. And that's again how we were brought up, right? So asking for help means that I'm vulnerable, means that I'm weak, means that I can't do it on my own, right? All of these are not true. And actually, where I'm coming from is actually that act of survival is an act of self-care. It's an act of self-love. And it's also what I need to do to actually make sure that my kids have a good future. Right?
Absolutely.
I need to take care of myself first. It's like putting my mask first
Yeah,
when I'm flying
yeah,
on
absolutely.
the plane, right? I need to put my mask first to be able to help my kids. So that's what I'm always telling men, that reaching out for help, reaching out for support, especially in that challenging time of separation, that
Mm,
is one of the most challenging times you ever face, is an act of putting your own mask first, and then you can help others.
yeah, absolutely. And when they're really, struggling to express their emotions, it's something that you want to be able to teach them to do, because if they have sons, you want them to be able to be that role model for their sons, to feel it's okay to express their emotions and, manage you know, any feelings of anger and things like that, so that they can channel these techniques to help them get through challenges in a more constructive way rather than destructive way. So, and being able to reach out for help when you need it, so that your kids don't have to grow up with the same constraints of, boys don't cry and all those silly things from the past. That these days you're able to help your own sons be able to express emotions freely, to be able to then cope with them a lot better, than rather than pushing them down and trying to avoid feeling those emotions. You know, sometimes you can just push them down so much that you become so robotic and you just go on with your life on autopilot because you just can't deal with the grief that you're suffering. That's hard.
And sometimes even worse, ending up in hospital with a sort of a physical ailment
Absolutely.
because of these pent-up emotions. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely comes out in a physical outlet. If you don't do it via your emotions, it gets suppressed, and then you end up with major health conditions, as you say.
Yeah, correct. And the idea is that emotional work is like it's superpowers. It's actually discovering this half of me that I never was allowed to access, but when I access it, it's so powerful that it's
Mm,
actually not only diverting me from my old not serving behaviors, but it's making my life so much better in so many ways because now I can access these guides, I can access these powers, right, of the emotional powers.
yeah,
So yeah, it's amazing.
and it will even help with future relationships, relationships with family. So once you can tap into your emotions and actually feel them and deal with them, then it really equips you to then be more vulnerable, more open, more approachable to others. Sometimes we can close ourselves off, can't we, and put up that sort of armor to protect our heart and not let people get too close to us or see our vulnerable side. So it's really
Mm.
good to be able to learn how to do that.
That's right. And I think many men think, oh, if I'll just change the person and they'll be different than the one I ended the relationship with, that will be fine. But actually, they bring their own stuff, their old self into the relationship.
Yeah,
So the idea is if I can actually change my habits that obviously didn't serve me in my last relationship,
yeah,
I can actually grow and have a much better relationship. For example, I'm a recovering people pleaser. I used to please many people, and including my co-parent
yeah,
and my ex. That sort of thing I needed to deal with, not to keep doing in my future relationships.
yeah.
So that sort of thing is another element of the work that is so serving for me going ahead in my relationship with everyone. You're right.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's good to be able to. It's like self-reflection, isn't it? So we really put a mirror to us to see where we can change, where we can improve our relationships going forward. Because the one thing we don't want to do is end up doing exactly the same thing as we did before, but we don't want to choose the same types of partners either. Sometimes we choose people, you could be a rescuer. So you choose someone that is always needing to be rescued. So to be able to understand what type of person you are in a relationship will actually help you choose better partners, people who are more healed, because you'll become more healed as you do this work in the coaching. You'll become more healed to go out there in the future when once you're ready to be able to seek a partner that is also healed, because when we go out there we attract what we are. If we're broken and not fully healed, we're going to attract the same type of people who are not healed, who have still got issues from their past relationship. And what happens then is you bring those issues into the new relationship and then wonder why it doesn't work. So it's about really, doing that self reflection about yourself, healing and growing, as you said, and be, a better version of yourself when you go back out there.
Yeah, so it has this ripple effect, right? It's first of
Yeah,
all me becoming more aware, then having another relationship that is more aware, more growth minded, and a healthier relationship. And then it actually trickles down to my kids, to my relationship with my co-parent, and even generational, because
yes,
it will affect their families and their kids as well.
yeah, definitely. So, what would you say to a man that is just about to go through separation? What would your advice be?
The first advice is to get support. This is the time where you want to feel supported. This is a time when mistakes can be very expensive.
Mm,
So why not learn from a wealth of knowledge from other people and to try to avoid these mistakes? The
absolutely.
other advice I'll give is try to avoid court if you can. We know that only 5% of the cases actually need to and are going through the court anyway.
Mm,
So if you can actually avoid it, that will reduce um, the money spent, that will reduce the trauma, that will reduce the health, that will reduce everything. So you can actually move on quicker.
yeah. Well, I actually think there's a lot of people that feel that their divorce resource straight away, as soon as they separate, they think, I've got to go and get to see a lawyer. And I think that's the wrong resource to engage at the onset of separation. I think a divorce coach helps you emotionally to be able to put things into priorities, to be empowered, and to sort of calm those emotions down a little. So you are ready then to be able to pull together all of the information you need to be able to maximize that time with a lawyer. So I wouldn't say go out to a lawyer, sign up, do a retainer with them, get them to take you through the legal system, because I think it's more powerful if you and your ex can stay empowered to make the decisions for your family. You know your family best. So to hand that over to a judge to make a decision on your family and he's never met your family before is handing over that power for the future of your family structure. You want to be able to have that empowerment to look at how you want the new family structure to look like and what you're going to put in place for the benefit of your own children. You know your own children, how they deal with change, how what their health considerations are, all these different types of things. Only parents know what their children need really going forward. It's not a textbook situation or a law act saying, oh, well, this is what it should be. It's got to be applicable to your family. So it's really important to try and guide people to only engage with the professionals as and when they need them. So it's really important to make sure that have the divorce coach helping you to be emotionally secure going into separation and empowered, so that then the next stage would be having that legal consult only to see what, looking at your situation, what your entitlements might be, and then be able to go into mediation. So at least be forewarned on what your entitlements might be if you ended up going to court, what a court outcome might be, and understanding the costs associated with going to court. It runs into tens of thousands of dollars if you keep going to court and backleg it out. So having that in mind as you go into mediation enables you to start negotiating together to avoid going to court, because you don't want to waste all of that money in where you'd be able to go to mediation to get some form of settlement and agreement. So it's really important, I feel, to gain that support and assistance from a divorce coach at the onset, because they're going to be able to help you. And even if you're triggered by your separation due to childhood trauma, a divorce coach can recommend that you see your GP to see a psychologist, because sometimes we're not always ready to be coached because we're not ready for change. So it's really important, if there's some healing that needs to be done, some trauma from your childhood, having a psychologist on board as well in your journey can help you recover from your past traumas. But the divorce coach will keep you future focused, keep pushing you through your challenges, through separation, and helping and supporting you. So I see that all different professionals can be brought into the separation journey as and when required. Whereas if you just jump straight into engaging with a lawyer for the whole duration of your separation, it's just extremely costly financially, but emotionally, and it really delays your healing the longer that drags on for. So you want to really be able to get to a point where your separation's completed, you've done your parenting agreement, your financial agreement, and then you're ready then to be able to start rebuilding your life. And that's, having your children and having that co-parenting relationship where you've learned how to communicate together and be able to do what's best for the children, as opposed to being very positional on what you want and what they want. It's about working together.
Yeah, that's right. In a perfect world, we're going to deal with the emotional aspect first because it's an emotional challenge. It's
Yeah.
not a financial or a legal challenge. And first of all, do this. So in a perfect world, there'll be like a 3-month grace period for couples to say, okay, so this is the situation, this is reality, we're about to get separated. Let's give ourselves 3 months time to actually start and get the help that we need and the support that we need to get that emotional equilibrium. So
Yes.
we're both emotionally safe and sound, out of the fight or flight mode, and then we can actually make decisions, legal and financial decisions, for the rest of our lives and our kids' lives. But we want to make these decisions from a point of emotional stability and safety and not from a fight or flight response.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we won't make rational decisions. There's some people who are so distraught with the separation, they can't cope with the emotional overwhelm, and they'll be, oh, you just have the house then, I don't care, and I'll walk away. So some people will walk away from the financial settlement because they're finding it too emotionally distressing. And then you'll have others who will fight tooth and nail for, a plastic, you know, lunchbox and say, well, I bought that $2 lunchbox. I'm keeping that. So you can be very, very irrational when emotions are very high. Whereas if, as you say, they have that emotional stability and calmness brought about, like, yes, this is a major traumatic time for families. Let's support and guide you and help you so that you can then make those rational decisions when you're feeling a lot calmer. So yeah, it is a
Yeah.
very tough time for everyone in the family. But it's great that you're supporting men and solely men, because I think there is the need to have that avenue where men can have the help of a male divorce coach, programs that you run, and be in groups where it's just males, where they feel that safety and feel that comfort in being able to talk openly. So I think it's a great job that you do, Tamir. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
thank you so much. And it's something that I experienced myself, and I thought I was totally lost. And after about a year and a half of doing this work, I thought, well, can I create a roadmap for men that will go, oh, if you're separating, here's a roadmap. Here's what you need to do to get you out of this.
Exactly.
And I think that's what I needed when I first separated.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's something that, when you don't get a guidebook, it's like having a baby, isn't it? You're sort of thrown in the deep end. All of a sudden your world's fallen apart when you separate, and you just don't really have the skills or the knowledge of what needs to be done. So it's really important not to try and do it alone, but feel the support of others to be able to get you through. People that have been through it before, coaches, psychologists, everyone's there to be able to help you with all the needs that you have.
Correct. It's like in survival mode, right? If I'm in the forest or somewhere and I don't know where I am, I'm feeling lost, then hey, would I like a map or not? Would I like a guide or not? Of course I will. I want to survive.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. If you want to make it out of that forest alive.
Correct. It's an easy decision.
Yeah. Whereas you'll be going round and round in circles in that forest, bewildered, feeling helpless. So it's, a very good analogy of, being lost in that forest. So you want to be able to have that help to get out, so you can get on with your life.
Yeah.
Well, it's been really great talking to you today, Tamir. I really love the work that you do. And, hopefully going forward, there'll be lots of men that's going to really benefit from seeking you out. What's your website that they can go to make contact with you?
Yeah, it's divorcecowboy.com.au, and they
Okay,
can download the free separation survival guide or book a free 15 minutes chat.
excellent. All right then. Well, thank you very much, Tamir,
Thank you,
and
Cheryl. Love your
all the
work.
best. Thank you. Talk
Cheers,
to you.
bye.
Bye.